All right. Good evening. It's a minute after 8 o'clock here. We'll get started shortly. As you come in, you'll notice that your microphones are muted and cameras are off. We do have the Q&A section available as well as the chat functionality available. If you have questions throughout the webinar, we'll hold until the end to kind of take those questions and address those questions. As we get started here, just want to touch on kind of the purpose of tonight's webinar and what we aim to cover. So as we mentioned in our email, we continue to see a trend of programs that are using Sports Connect Club to send registrations to New Jersey Youth Soccer on the association side that can benefit from some best practices. So we've invited our partners at Stack Sports to take us through a demonstration, show kind of some best practices in creating an event and managing the event day to day, as well as highlight the benefits of that integration that you may or may not be using. It's been quite some time since we've actually gone through and done a webinar like this. So we'll aim to cover program integration settings, configuring divisions and what that looks like as they come down from the state association for both rec and travel. We'll touch on just those custom state association questions and document verification containers that are exposed in registration. We'll talk about coach compliance and the background check process. As a benefit of this product, there's an integrated experience available for coaches right in your own registration portal. So we want to make sure you take advantage of that, as well as roster management and team submission. So once you've completed the registration side, what does that more day-to-day operation look like within the platform, and how do the changes you make in one platform reflect in another? This webinar is being recorded and shared, so no need to take copious notes. We'll definitely share the link and recording after the fact, and this will be posted on our registration page as well for any individual that you'd like to share this with within your club or other clubs as well. Without further ado, I'll make a couple introductions. So on the line from the New Jersey Youth Soccer side, my name is Ryan Foley, Director of Operations for New Jersey Youth Soccer. We have Jessica Fuccello, our Registration Services Coordinator, who I'm sure many of you communicate with on a daily basis through our registration inbox. We have Nicholas Robo, who's our Senior Account Manager and has been with New Jersey Youth Soccer's account at Stack Sports for probably the better part of 6-7 years. We've also got Seth McAfee, who's going to go through and give the presentation. And then last but certainly not least, we have Georgie Delancey, who oversees the partnerships for Stack Sports, the strategic partnerships. So I'm going to turn it over to Georgie for a brief introduction.
Thanks, Ryan. Appreciate it. Thank you, Jess, for having us. We know that you guys are in the weeds and in the trenches regularly with your membership. So the opportunity to come and be able to present and kind of give some, a refresher or welcome anybody that's new that isn't familiar with Sports Connect, the affiliation process. So whether you are returning and setting up your program for, a second, third, or fourth year, we welcome you. If you're new to the system, this is going to be just as beneficial to make sure that we get you off on the right track and have a proper, successful season. You won't have to bombard Jess with any issues with why we didn't affiliate and are showing up in the state association registration side of things. So without further ado, we're going to go ahead and kind of start to talk about what we're going to cover. Although Ryan did hit it perfectly, just a little bit taking a step back. For those of you that don't know who Stack Sports is, I'm going to give a brief 90-second overview of who we are, and then we're going to get right to it. Program affiliation, looking at custom configurations that come down from the state that also you get to customize on top of. That integrated compliance, whether that's the player or your coaches and volunteers, and background checks. We'll also take a look at your roster management, submitting teams, and then lastly, we'll put a bow on it and thank you for your time and just tell you a little bit more about Stack Sports before we close out for any Q&A. As Ryan did mention, the Q&A is open, I believe, so feel free to send in any questions, and also after the fact, we're willing and able to help with, any questions or concerns that you guys do have. So I'm going to go ahead and jump into it. And just brief overview, when you hear The team is from Stack Sports. Well, Sports Connect is a part of our Stack Sports ecosystem. And so what is Stack Sports? It is an integrated technology ecosystem with dozens of different softwares, tools, and solutions, all dedicated towards the sports industry, whether that's the grassroots side, the youth side, the amateur to the professional. So we're really going to focus on 2 specific products here tonight and how you guys interact with them to make sure that you can run effectively and efficiently, and not have to worry about all the administrative, duties or any hiccups or whatnot. You can set yourself up for success. So when we talk about Stack Sports, we do a lot more, and we partner with your state association in various ways. And so we're here to support you in whatever way that looks like. So to kind of bring it back in the products and the softwares that we're going to talk about, and when we say Sports Connect, that is your central registration location, and where specifically New Jersey Youth Soccer Association, they manage the compliance up at the state level. So when we talk about Sports Connect, there's actually 2 levels of it. And so Sports Connect Association, think of that as that's where the state sets up. That's where Jess and Ryan are setting those configurations. And these are the questions that we have to ask. And here's where you're going to go to be able to see your compliance and background checks and all of those statuses. Now down at the club level, we have Sports Connect Club. And so that is the portal that we're going to be discussing and Seth is going to actively walk us through. That's where you get to manage your local operations, your club, build your teams, your registration, set up your payment plans and anything like that. Has a front end website if you guys want to utilize that, has communication tools and emailing reports and all of those kind of additional features. So just setting the scene a little bit for what we're going to go through in the live demo. And we want it to be really, really advantageous and clear and concise for you guys to understand what does a proper season setup look like. So moving on, if you don't take away anything else from this evening, just lock this image into your brain, and understand that when you're setting up a program in Sports Connect Club, there's going to be a 6-step process. Although you can set up program forms or registration forms in a few different ways. We have some that you can see here right under program settings. It says this is a non-tryout rec program form. That just means it's a 1-step process and it's not as much as a competitive tryout form. We also have team registration, and then we have another form that you can set up your registration through. Doesn't matter how your club and organization sets up, whether you're recreational, whether you're competitive, travel, you need to make sure that when you start to choose your national affiliation, this is what's going to unlock all of that compliance and the integrated connectivity with the state association. So this is where you'll choose U.S. Youth Soccer. You'll go find the organization of New Jersey Youth Soccer. You'll select your specific district. If your district isn't showing up, stop and call us. We want to make sure, and same thing for every next step. If your club isn't showing up under the district, stop, don't proceed. You need to make sure that you're properly selecting your organization. Then you'll go in and you'll choose your season, whether that's recreational, whether that's travel, a TOPS program, so forth. And then you'll choose your your play level, which can be recreational, competitive, top soccer programs. So just once again, the proper way to affiliate your program to make sure all of these beneficial, streamlined compliance components come through. This is the screen that you guys kind of want to make sure that you're going to be aligned with.
I'm going to jump in real quick on this one. This is where we see 90% of the issues that come into support, that come into our office, and really can't overemphasize enough. If nothing else, throughout this entire presentation, step 1 is the core. We know, once you go through the districts or the clubs, the kind of default options are the ones near the top. Our New Jersey Youth Soccer State Office, or they say demo club, or they say, transfer test. Those clubs are not your club. We want to make sure that data ultimately flows to the right spot. So in step 1, you want to make sure that you're selecting your organization, your district, so that data can flow to the right place. If this step is incorrect, it's really hard to untangle once data starts to flow. It can be a bit of a headache, both for you as a club administrator and for us assisting you in that process. So really just wanted to leave this impression of step 1 being really critical to making your job smooth sailing from here on out. Thanks, Georgie.
Yeah, appreciate it, Ryan. And we want to emphasize it on behalf of New Jersey just as much. The next two slides will continue to reiterate why this is so important, and you can understand why this data flow and having it not connected properly or efficiently or effectively can really throw a wrench in everything. And also, you might as well just not even be connected or under New Jersey. You might as well be just taking your registrations, on a third-party system or on Google Docs. So again, we'll kind of start to explain when you successfully affiliate, you'll start to see all of these additional things that the state has set up on your behalf to streamline your registration setup. So as soon as you get to step 2, you're going to see here divisions have been automatically populated according to USYS offerings, and this is specified by the state association. Seth is going to get into a live demo and show you how you can customize this, but this is already preset in these divisions. You can archive age groups and change the names to them should you want to customize them to your specific organization. Then we can talk about on step 3, the benefit of properly affiliating in step 1, then starts to bring those questions down that your state association has set in, and they are important for you to answer there. And then we can get to step 5, where you can see that bottom right picture. That's actually under team staff, and that's asking the questions that are required based on your team personnel, your volunteers. And then in there, you also see that's where Safe Sport starts to fill in background checks and so forth. So again, extremely important. And the reason being is once we have this proper connectivity, data is flowing. That's the beauty of the system and the API connections. And so they work in tandem to make sure that your state association is getting real-time data. When your teams are registered, your state can see that and so forth. So, this is just a little bit of graphic to say that the data continuously flows and goes back and forth. And so just reiterating the importance of this proper connectivity. So without further ado, I think we hit the nail on the head there, and we're going to hand this over to Seth to drive us through a live demo. And to set the scene, he's going to go from the login page as a club administrator in Sports Connect Club, and then he'll take you through that process so you can see it. And then I'll take it back from Seth to wrap us up.
Great.
Yeah.
As Seth is getting set, one quick call out, as I know it will likely be a question. If your club is also taking registrations for, say, U.S. Club or a different governing body that's not within New Jersey Youth Soccer's ecosystem, we would ask that you set up a separate event and not have those players submitted through the New Jersey Youth Soccer ecosystem. You'll want to have one per governing body. That way, a lot of times somebody will, for example, share their U.S. club registrations in the NJYS event, and then reconciling through the billing process can get a bit tricky, figuring out whether players should have been or shouldn't have been members. So if your club participates in other governing bodies, not a problem. We understand we're not the only one in New Jersey, but certainly just want to reemphasize that you want to have those separate and independent from the New Jersey Soccer integrated event. Thanks, Seth.
Yeah, thanks, Ryan, and thanks, Georgie, as well. So I'm going to share my screen. As Georgie mentioned, I'm going to start at can everyone see this?
Yeah,
Looks good.
Okay, awesome. Just want to make sure. So we're going to start here at the login screen. What you're able to do here, obviously, is enter in your email that is associated to the admin side. Obviously, put in a password as well, and then you'll sign in. When you sign into your Sports Connect page, this is Sports Connect Club. We're going to get into our admin dashboard. The admin dashboard is just a brief overview that shows you everything that's going on within the system. So you can see your registrations that have come through, your revenue that's generated, your balances if you're offering payment plans, the amount of teams that you built out, the emails that you've sent, and so forth. This is on a year-to-date calendar range right now. So you can see it as April 2024 to 2025, which you can easily drag and drop to even to narrow this down to a specific month or a 2-month window, or bring it back to that year. What I'm going to be going through primarily with you today is going to be the registration setup, as well as how to submit your teams and build out your team rosters. So I want to jump into that first. We're going to go into registration, and then we're going to go into registration forms. Here at the forms, I've already built out a 2-step that we'll come back into a second, but I want to start by adding a program, and this is how you would set it up on your end as well. So we'll hit add a program. We have 4 different registration types. Type 1 is going to be our 1-step, which is more so for your recreational sports in your rec soccer season. We have a 2-step that we'll go over shortly. And this is going to be more of your competitive base, where you register first for the tryout. And then as the admin, you'll be able to accept or decline certain individuals and those players will then be able to come on and accept their roster spots and make payment for the season. We also have a team registration process and also free programs and events. Say you were to do the first one, that one step, this is how we're going to set up your successfully, like your integration to New Jersey Youth Soccer. We want to start by selecting your sport of soccer, hit save and continue. And then we want to give this a program name. We can say it's our 2025 fall rec season. And then you would choose, obviously, activity type would be already there for you. Soccer, that national affiliation would be USYS. You would then come through here, choose New Jersey Youth Soccer. And then at this point, you'd be able to choose your district. So as I mentioned, really hitting on this, make sure you choose New Jersey Youth Soccer. Make sure you find the district that you're involved in. Say it was District 14, and then say your club was the Princeton Soccer Academy, right? We want to make sure we select your correct district as well as your correct club. Then you could choose your season of play, whether it be travel or recreational. Say this is the recreational for the 2025 fall. Obviously, you want to select this. Our play level, I could then choose recreational. So that is how you set it up. That is how you'll be able to get this everything connected to the Affinity side, and you'll be able to save and continue. I do want to obviously not go through that. I want to go back to my registration forms and to move on to step 2 on this 2-step registration process, which is our competitive basis. So I'm going to open this one up, and I'm going to move on to step 2, which is our division settings. As Georgie mentioned earlier, the nice thing about the system is it does already have all the divisions available for you. So you can see here, all of your division offerings are already here, all the way from 7U all the way up to 19U. Obviously, not every club will have all those, right? We may not offer 7 through 19. Easy to do. All we would need to do is from the top is hit this archive button. If I didn't have a 10 and under boys, I can hit archive like this right here, and it will remove it from my form. It's not available for any parents to select that division. Same thing for the girls and vice versa. So whatever divisions you do not offer throughout the registration form here, just archive them. If you ever needed to combine a division, for example here, say we wanted to combine 12 and 11. We don't offer 12 separately from 11. We want to combine those two. You can simply hit the pencil button on a 12 and under. You can rename this division as well. Maybe you just want to name it 12U instead of 12 and under. It gives you the flexibility to do that. You can also set a division price for each one of these divisions. They don't have to be the same. You can set a separate price for each division. You can select if it's male, female, or co-ed at the gender basis. The registration dates and times. So when do you want registration to open? What date do you want registration to close? And then your season dates. We recommend probably putting, your first activity, probably that tryout or that first practice all the way until the end date, which is going to be the end of the season. Your age ranges have been pre-built by New Jersey Youth Soccer. So those dates are configured to the 12U division. Probably no need to move those. But in this example, if I wanted to combine 12U and 11U, you'd probably want to come in here and utilize this. And we'll say this one's now 12 and 11U, for example. We can then move this youngest birth date back to 2014 or a different date, right? To really open this up, giving me now the flexibility to accept 11U and 12U players. It's really important to do this because based off that gender and your age range, players, when they go to register, and the parents, when they go to register their player, they'll only be able to see the divisions that their player qualifies for based off that gender and birth date. It's really important there to select the correct gender and set it up with the correct birth date so that there's no issues when parents go to register their player. Once you've configured that, each one of your division levels, you'll be able to then go into the advanced settings off to the right-hand side. On the advanced settings, this is going to be a competitive registration form. So it's really important to go into the advanced settings here because you may want to set a max number of participants that can register for the trial. You also may want to go into your discounts and fees and set a trial fee. The default is going to be $0, but if you wanted to say, you wanted to charge $25 for the tryout, then you can come through here and put in $25, or you can bring it back down to 0 on whatever fee you want to charge for that. You can also see here that we have early bird discounts and late fees that can be added. And we also have the ability to set up payment options. I did set up a travel payment plan where I can open this up. And you can see I gave it a payment plan name, a travel payment plan, a 3-month payment plan, 3-month plan, which installments due on the first day of the next, months. You can see that here I selected the due dates of 5/1, 6/1, 7/1, the amount totaling $750. The parents would obviously just put a credit card on file, and they'll then be able to automatically bill that credit card on those dates you selected. So it is an automated process, making it really easy for your parents to pay, as well as for you to receive the money. The bulk edit function up here in the top right is also a very helpful functionality that we have. We'll have the ability to bulk edit the division price. So if it's consistent pricing across all your divisions, Rather than having to open up those and then change it individually, just do it all at once. You can also do that same thing for your registration open dates and close dates, and same thing for the season dates. So just do it once rather than having to do it maybe 10, 12 different times. Step 3 will be our registration questions. As Georgie covered earlier as well, these are going to be pre-built and show up for you already based off New Jersey Youth Soccer. This one does have, though, the tryout registration questions. If it was a step 1 rec registration form, you would not have these tryout questions. You would only see the program questions required by New Jersey Youth Soccer. But since this is a 2-step, we are going to have tryout registration questions. So when parents come on to register their player just specifically for the tryout first, these will be the questions that they're responsible for answering. I did add a couple here. I want to know what grade level they're coming up to. I want to know their years of experience as a player, and I also want to know their positions played. I did require these questions because they're important for me to know. But for example here, if positions played was not really a need for you, it's more so just a want to know if they're curious to provide that information, then I can leave it as a white question or a white on the required portion. That will give them the ability to actually skip over that question without having to provide an answer. So that is going to be the difference there with blue or white. As you can see here, we do have the ability to add more questions if you have those. We can do standard questions, which are going to be a template for what we see a lot of organizations use. So you can definitely scroll through here. These are pre-built standard questions that we've provided over here at Sports Connect. And we can then go back after that as well and add in any additional custom questions. So if you didn't see the question you liked on the standard side, then easily go back in here, add it as a custom question. Our ability to answer any sort of custom questions are going to be the question type answers of short answer, paragraph, drop-down list, multiple choice, file upload, or date selection, or even have a waiver signed. So if you have any additional waivers or policies for your club, definitely get those, signed through the registration process, making it really easy for you to get those agreed to up front during the registration cycle. Now we're going to go into the required questions by New Jersey Youth Soccer. These would actually, in this 2-step registration, be answered by your players after they've been sent the invitation to join the team. They've made the roster, they've made the team. Once they've gotten the acceptance letter from you as the club admins, they'll have the ability to come back in, accept their roster spot, fill out these questions, and then make payment. So these are required by New Jersey Youth Soccer. We can see that some of them are grayed out in blue. That means it's required. So we need a parent one family role answer, but these questions here are left white. So that means it's up to you as a club to decide if you want to require those or leave them optional for parents to provide this information. So parent 2, first name, last name would just provide you with an additional contact for the player. And like I mentioned, if you want to require that, simply check the blue. Or if you want to leave it as optional, then you can leave it white. The player photo here is already checked blue. That's an important thing to go ahead and capture. Maybe you want to add the birth certificate and check that blue as well and require that so they can go ahead and get the birth certificate uploaded here in the registration cycle. Some further ones that that are blued out are going to be here, questions 12 all the way down to question 23, really capturing a lot of the medical history information, the allergies, and then emergency contact details. At the bottom, we see some couple other ones that are left white. And then lastly, the blue is that medical release waiver that does need to be signed. That is required and locked in by New Jersey Youth Soccer. And those are going to be the questions. So those 28 questions have been pre-built for you, going to be very helpful. All this information will be captured in the registration cycle and uploaded to the affinity side for you as you come through this. Then now we have also the ability, very similar to those trial questions, to add your additional ones, such as I added a club policies waiver. I want the information for my players' jersey size, their short size, their sock size. That's all important for me. So these were additional questions that I did ask on top of the New Jersey Youth Soccer questions. Completely up to you on what questions you would like to ask here. And the same thing would apply. The standard ones would be visible for you. And you could also ask more custom questions with the answer types, of which I showed you earlier as well. Going to move forward to step 4. This is going to be our discounts and fees page. Another opportunity here for you to add any discounts or fees that you may have. Some of the ones that we do have pre-built are going to be our family discounts. So if you offer a sibling discount, maybe you want to do, in this example, $20 off for a second player or a second participant that a parent is registering at the same time. So they would receive a $20 discount for that second player, and that would be applied automatically for you. You can do that for third, fourth, and subsequent as well. There's other ones that we have pre-built, like non-resident fee or resident discount, and also a non-volunteer fee. And you may have additional discounts or fees that may be more suited to your club. We have the ability to kind of customize that here down at the bottom left. You can add mandatory fees, optional discounts, or optional fees as well. So definitely make sure to go through that and decide what's important for your club so they can get the pricing all structured correctly. So team staff will be very important for your organization to get the correct positions from a staff perspective. In the same registration cycle here, we can now see that we're in step 5. The first 3 or 4 steps are really focused around registering your player and putting in information based off your player. Now here at step 5, it gives you the opportunity to register as a staff member, as from a parent's perspective. So if they're interested to being a head coach, an assistant coach, a team manager, or even a volunteer role, which as you can see here, the volunteer was a custom position that I actually added in. The 3 before, head coach, assistant coach, and team manager, will automatically populate for you onto this form. If you don't want certain one, like a team manager, maybe you don't really want to call it that. You may want to remove that from the form. Very easy to do, just to hit delete here. But you can completely customize what positions you want available. And it does allow for your parents in this registration cycle to click on a position they're interested in being. Doesn't necessarily guarantee them the coaching job, but it more so does give you an interest list. So that when you go to build out team rosters here in a few seconds, when I cover that, you'll see those coaches available and you'll be able to assign them to the team. If you hit the pencil here on the head coach, for example, you're going to have the ability to scroll down here and you're going to see some of the contact details that we'll capture from them. We want to make sure we get the correct information from this person. We're also going to see the ability to get their social security number, go ahead and get that into the system. And we're also going to see some program questions required by New Jersey Youth Soccer. So these are the questions that are going to be required on the staff side. We're going to go ahead and get that information from them. And if you have any additional questions on your terms, you can ask those as well. Very similar to the players. We have standard ones and we have some custom questions, which you can actually ask the volunteers and the staff members. Maybe you want to get a t-shirt size because you provide a uniform for the coach, right, to wear to games, then you can ask that as a custom question right here, or anything else that you would like to know. And that is how easy it is to set up step 5. Lastly, we're going to cover is going to be step 6, our confirmation notes. So we have a variety of different order and confirmation notes you'll see here on the 2-step process. The Trout order confirmation note will be an email that comes over after the parent has submitted the order for the tryout. So you're going to see here, thank you for registering for the tryout. This will be an automated email that does come over. The Trout acceptance notes, this is going to be if a player does make the roster. So this is an acceptance note in an email that comes to the player. A Trout dismissal note would be a note saying, sorry, your player did not make the team. This is a dismissal note. Policies contract, if you have any sort of contracts that you would like to input into, being involved as part of this team, you can attach those here. And then you're going to have your division order confirmation note. This is the email that would come over after they have actually accepted their roster spot, finished the final registration questions, and made payment for the season. They'll receive this. And then lastly, we have our team staff confirmation note. New Jersey Youth Soccer has gone in here and added in a lot of very helpful information for those volunteers to kind of go ahead and give them those step-by-step instructions to get the background check process started, as well as to get those other certificates uploaded into the system. And that is it. So we'll hit save on that, and we'll be able to build that registration form will be finalized. It's 6 easy steps to build that out. And we also have the ability to come in here and preview what we've created as well. So if you go back into registration forms to get to the screen I'm at now, you can hit this preview button and it will show you what we've created. So you're going to see these are some of the questions that the parents will be answering and how it's formatted as well. So we'll see that we have the player name, their gender and their birth date, how they can upload that birth certificate, and then all of those New Jersey required questions onto the form. And this is the format it's in, and how easy it is for them to go through and answer and provide all the answers to these questions. Now we're going to go into teams and how we can build out the team rosters for the season. So if I go into manage teams,
let's go back just one quick question for the required and non-required questions. Nick gets a ton of these specific to what required means and not required. So just going to give Nick the floor a second to kind of answer those.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Seth, if you don't mind, if you go back to the step 3, I just kind of wanted to show them that if something is required by default, they can flip it to optional, and then they'll get the message that it is required as a New Jersey Youth Soccer. So like the player profile one, as an example, number 8 down there, if they wanted to just remove a barrier, you can make that optional. And then if this is like a travel team, it will be required at the time of activation. And Ryan, just step in and let me know if I'm explaining this incorrectly here, but this would remove that barrier and allow them to register.
Yep. So I think this is a part where, again, as Nick said, we get a lot of questions, right? Um, in order to have a player pass, you of course need a player photo. What this allows you to do is kind of figure out at what point in time you are requiring the player to put their photo in. By default, it's set to required here. So if Seth, if you just hit cancel, kind of show
Yeah.
what that setting looks like, right? So if it's toggled on this screen, this means that when the player is going through the registration process, they must enter a player photo. They must enter a birth certificate at that point in time. They can't go to the checkout screen. They can't make any payments unless they upload those documents. Now, if this gets toggled off, if you want to go ahead, Seth, and toggle it off, either one, 8 or 9, if this gets toggled off, it doesn't mean that the player doesn't need a birth certificate. They'll need a birth certificate to get assigned to an active team at a later point in the process, but it allows them to complete the registration process so they can make payments, be assigned to a team, all of that stuff. And then you can go back and at any point the parent can upload a birth certificate into their profile. And that will be shared with New Jersey Youth Soccer for verification by a district commissioner if needed. So that's the distinction here is, do you really want them to do this at the registration point in the process? They can't move on unless they do this. Or do you want to be a little bit more flexible, take that requirement off, knowing that they can still go in at any time and do that prior to activation? Nick, is that what you were getting at there?
Exactly. Thank you, Ryan, and thank you, Seth.
Yep.
Yeah, no problem. Awesome. So after that, appreciate it, guys. We'll go into the teams and we'll go into manage teams, and we're going to talk about a little bit more about how we can build out our team rosters after either the trial's been completed or your registration's done and you want to, create the teams and get this submitted over to New Jersey. So we're going to go into manage teams. You'll see that your program will pull up, which if you have multiple programs, and you can filter it by that. And also you can filter it by division here. I'm going to go into my 11 and under boys because I do have some allocated or unallocated personnel and players. But how to get started here is we're going to then click add new team in the top right corner. You're going to see some different options here. So you're going to see that if you have used this system in the past, used and submitted teams in the future, in the past, you can get the teams from New Jersey. The one I'm going to be going through today is actually going to be the manual creation teams, just because I want to manually do this process with you. So I'm going to click on manual team creation. I'm just going to create one team for the time being. If you had multiple teams in this specific division, then you can obviously select a different number. But in this demo, I'm just going to do one team. I'm going to make that team, and I'm going to say this is our 11U travel team. Oh. Say it's the red team. Save teams. All right, so we got 11U travel. We're going to call this one our red team, and then we're going to hit the edit button to get this started. We're going to go into step 1, which is our team details. So there's 3 steps here rather than the 6 on the registration front to get your teams built out. Step 1 allows me to change that team name if I would like to and add in the additional team notes. Step 2 will allow me to then add the personnel. So you can see here that I have available team personnel. I have a head coach of my name and also an assistant coach under my name as well. But if there was multiple different volunteers, you obviously would have the decision here to decide who you would like to assign to be the head coach and assistant coach. Since I only have one of each, I'm just going to go ahead and add them both over. They're now allocated, so that means they're assigned. You can see here that we have associated players. There's no answer there, but if they were associated within a player, they would see that player's name off to the right-hand side. So just to make it a little bit easier for you, you want to make sure obviously you're assigning the correct coach to be associated with their player on that team. It shows you that information. We'll then hit save and continue and move forward to the players and assigning those. Up here in the add player information box, this will be very helpful for you to then be able to add information to the right-hand side of their name. For example, here, if I want to add in their age, I can then see that these players are within 10 to 11 years old. I can then go through here and maybe I want to put their date of birth. So it does show you a variety of different things that you can add to the right-hand side of their name to help you with building out these team rosters. Maybe it's position played, right? Maybe it's their age. Anything that's important, you can add that in. We'll then go through here and decide what players do I actually want to allocate to this team. Since it is a 2-step registration process, in this process, I'm going to have some players that are actually getting cut from the team. Not every one of these players will be making the roster. So I'm going to say that I'm going to have these ones at the bottom. For example, we'll say player 13 down to the bottom, all the way down to 21 are the ones that are going to make the team. The other 12 did not make the team. They were cut from the roster. We're adding in these players. You can see that they're now allocated to the team name of the red team, and we'll hit save and finish. So now we have our 9 players that are allocated. Those are the players that did make the team. And we have 12 players that sadly, did not make the team this season. Just for this example, right? Your numbers may be different, and you may have obviously different players, the amount of players allocated versus unallocated. We're then going to go into this roster notifications to be able to continue this process. So we're going to click on roster notifications, and we'll go into email tryout status. At this point, we are going to be sending out our invitations and our acceptance letters to those players that did make the team. You can then click this one button here to click them all. So I want to send to these 9 players, I'm going to be sending a email, and I can preview this email here saying that you accepted it by clicking that button. And you can see it's just the same email or the same message that I put on the registration form actually in that acceptance note. So you can see that it's the congrats, you made the team. Please follow the steps below to accept your roster spot. There will be a steps of how to accept your roster spot and get the player finalized and accepted listed below for you automatically. You can also keep a track on the email statuses, right? So have you sent out this yet? At what date and time you sent it? So for example, here, if I hit send, it's going to send that, and you're going to get exact timestamp of April 12th at 8:37 p.m. So you can keep exactly on your end to know what exactly time I sent this, and you can also see if they've accepted it or not. So each player is going to say not yet accepted, but once they're have come into the system and accepted their roster spot, then you'll see the acceptance note change there to accepted. Same thing can be applied to, yeah. Go ahead.
Seth, I'm going to jump in real quick just on a point on data flow. So for this point in the process that Seth is pointing out, the players that have registered for the tryout are not shared with the state association. They're currently in this holding pattern. They're sitting in the tryout area. Now you've sent them what is essentially the notice of offer for them to accept their division registration. What Seth will show next is after they've accepted that spot, at that point, the player will then flow to New Jersey Youth Soccer. So all of these players that have registered for tryouts, they're not going to show on the state platform. You're not going to be billed for them. They're there to help you manage the tryout process. Once they accept the offer that's being shown here and they complete the next division registration, that's when that player first becomes submitted to New Jersey Youth Soccer on the state platform, and then they become billable for the next month. Thanks, Seth.
Yeah, no problem. And the same thing would apply like for the rec side, right, Ryan? The rec players would actually push over automatically, where the
Correct.
travel, they would accept that before they're pushed over to the State Soccer Association.
Yep, we are a direct registration state. So yeah, as soon as the division registration is complete on the rec side or post tryout side here, then they are automatically submitted to the state association, provided they don't have another application with another club and all that good stuff.
Yeah, awesome. Appreciate it.
Thanks.
And then the same thing for, did not make the team and these players. You obviously want to inform them in some way that they did not make the team. We can preview that email, saying we are sorry to inform you that you did not make the team this season. And then you could, click through their names and send that same email here below. So that'll also be timestamped. You can see I actually did that earlier, just from a trial error there, but I did already send out a few this morning. But that really shows you how to build out teams. If you come back into that manage team section, I'm going to go back into that 11 and under boys. You're going to see the ability to then submit the teams. It'll look very similar for both the recreational and the travel side. So once your teams have been finalized and everyone's been assigned, the correct coaches have been assigned, and the personnel, as well as the players, you could then submit those teams to New Jersey Youth Soccer. And those will obviously push over into the Affinity as well. So that's going to be really how easy it is for you to create a registration form, right? And then also how easy it is for you to build out your team rosters on the competitive and the recreational side, getting those players, pushed over to the Affinity or the travel, getting those players accepted their roster spots and submitting those teams. I appreciate it, but I think at this point I'm going to pass it on to Georgie to kind of cover our different support options and go from there.
Cool. As Georgie's get set real quick on the team submission side. So if you choose to get use the Get Teams feature, that will allow for these teams to automatically sync back and forth. There'll be no submit team button, and you'll notice that the resync option is available. The Get Teams button really only works if you have a team from that division's age group available at the state platform. So if you go through our instructions that we provide each year with the seasonal year, we say, hey, migrate your teams first from season to season. Then as a step 2, if you have the club product, allows you to come in and hit get teams. So that team creation step that Seth showed can be simplified for you. And then there's an automatic link. So as you allocate players that have completed a division registration, those players are syncing to that team in real time. You're also receiving a team submission report for each individual player as you allocate them in real time. So if there's an error with a player because they have a different application with another club, or they're missing a birth certificate, you'll get those team submission notifications in real time rather than the submit team button, which is a one-time push once you're kind of ready and have finalized your team.
One other thing, Ryan and Seth, I didn't want to go back too far, but around the coaches registering, I know, Ryan, one important call out you wanted to mention is that your coaches, if you use Sports Connect Club, you are able to have them do their background check submissions within your club portal. So they don't have to go to the New Jersey Youth Soccer portal to do their background check. They can do it right in that registration. And Ryan, I don't know if you had anything else you wanted to add to that, but just wanted to make sure we bring that up as well.
Yes, I do. I'm going to see if I can actually pull up that page. This is something that we interestingly see clubs not take advantage of, or they have coaches do things in 2 different spots. So I think it's a really good call out, and I'll see if I can get there as quickly as I can. Let's see. What are the odds I have a volunteer registration? I do. Check that out. All right. So I'm kind of impersonating an account right now. When the coach goes through that registration process, they're essentially landing on a what we call the team staff compliance module. The team staff compliance module allows them to access all of their New Jersey Youth Soccer certificates and expiration dates all in one spot. It also allows for them to access the integrated features that are really beneficial with the Sports Connect platform. So you can access the Safe Sport learning platform. You can access the link for CDC. Now we have the ability for you to access USYSU right into the coach's account. This is where the state certificate course is held, where the Y course is now hosted. So this is a really powerful tool that once the coach completes registration in your own platform in an integrated event, they have access to this right within your own website. And we find a lot of times clubs are sending, the coach will complete the registration through the club portal, and then they're also sending them to the New Jersey Youth Soccer background checking link and doing the same thing over. It's not that you're double charged or anything like that, provided they use the same information, but it's not necessary to send them to 2 spots. You have that completely integrated experience, and they can take advantage of these things in real time. One of the benefits, and this is a huge credit to Stack Sports in the past year or so, is this USYSU integration. USYSU, aside from having the state certificate course, which coaches can take autonomously and on their own pace, or the Y course at the same rate, allows them to access an entire library of coaching courses and resources. This is available not just to coaches, but to parents as well. So if you want to have parents take a sideline course, that's available here, or a recognizing bias course, or insert the course offering from USYSU. This integration allows them to do that seamlessly and without needing to establish a second login. So there have been some really good enhancements to this team staff compliance module that we want to call out. Georgie or Nick, anything I missed here?
No, I was going to mention the USYS University as well. So you got that, and the ability to do the background check in here. Also, I mean, it is a good place to just get a quick snapshot of where you stand with your compliance. So, I mean, that would be just one other thing that I would mention. But other than that, I think that pretty much covered that.
Cool. Great. Now I'll turn it over to Georgie. Thanks.
Awesome. Can everybody see my screen?
Yep.
I get there. Great. flying blind a little bit. So just kind of want to go over some support resources in addition to now you have the knowledge on how to properly affiliate, set up, what it means to maybe make required questions unrequired until, temporarily until registration, how to set up additional features. What happens when you need additional support, and not specifically to your state association. So for starters, there's kind of a few different avenues that you can get support through Sports Connect. One, we do have in-app tutorials. So for example, if you look at when you're within your portal and that widget on the bottom right or left-hand corner of your screen, it will take you to a specific help articles. So when you're in your Sports Connect Club portal, type in a keyword: registration, merchant account, team building, report building, and it will bring you directly to help articles within your portal. We also have user guides. For example, on this right-hand side, we have a PDF, 2-page PDF that kind of takes you chronologically through a successful full setup of your portal, the holistic approach from the website, from setting up your merchant account to make sure building teams, if you want to set up a fanware store, if you want to send out communication or reporting, kind of all those different options, and they're connected to actual help article guides, but in addition to follow along videos. So that's just kind of one way that we can help you. Also, this is huge and constantly ongoing and a massive part of our support and just building up your resilience and, within our system based on just little bits of knowledge. So Sports Connect Academy is our on-demand learning center where we're constantly adding new courses and actually new course series. So whether it's you're taking over an existing portal and you're a new administrator, but your organization has already been using Sports Connect, there's a course on, how to pick up where it was left off, how to start from scratch, how to build, specific teams and management and things like that. So it's bite-sized, digestible content, few minutes here and there. They're no more than 15, 20 minutes. So you can pause and stop and come back. Also, we're able to give the state association metrics on the completion of Sports Connect Academy. So when, instead of always going to them, you can take a course or two, become resilient in understanding how to properly, affiliate or set up different things. It's just a really good way to alleviate any pressure that you feel of not understanding the system. And then with that, in turn, it also alleviates, some of those questions that maybe the state association doesn't need to, assist with. And kind of putting all that with a bow on it, our help center, training webinar, Sports Connect Academy, we do have what's called a solutions consultant. So every single organization that utilizes Sports Connect, there's a solutions consultant tied to your account. And what that means is, on those first few slides where we talked about Sports Connect, being a small part of the Stack Sports ecosystem, sometimes it can be difficult or, a little bit jarring to understand the ecosystem that Stack Sports is. And maybe you need a different tool or solution to help your organization, whether that's coach evaluations or something along those lines, tournament management. You can reach out to us, your solutions consultant. We'll go ahead and help you understand all the different tools that are available to you. And then in addition, we do have live phone support. So should you want to pick up the phone and call, we do have that. However, best practices in submitting a ticket are directly through your portal. And I'll repeat that again. The best practice to submit support to Sports Connect is actually within your portal. So in that bottom left-hand widget, when you're actively logged in, you can actually submit a ticket. And the reason that it's best to submit it within the portal is because your portal identification is then tagged to that support request. And New Jersey Youth Soccer has what we call a priority queue. So you guys, all of your questions, when we understand it's coming from your portal, they get into a priority queue and they're not, within the the myriad of other users that are maybe unaffiliated. So please utilize that in addition to any other methods here. So, and then one thing to call out is that you may see, if you're a Sports Connect user of, just a year, a few years, you'll constantly see the system changing. The reason the system changes is based on feedback from our partners. We really do value that. New Jersey Youth is also one of our biggest advocates in really testing us to constantly think about how we can make the platform better for you guys, how it can fit the needs as the evolving soccer industry. So we do really appreciate feedback and enhancement requests and things of those natures, just to understand, how you're utilizing the system, how we can constantly make it better. And that's ultimately how the product evolves over time. So we do appreciate that. And then lastly, just to kind of recap and reiterate, Stack Sports as a whole, and kind of the fact that we are part of the, every part of the athlete's journey, whether that's from the grassroots to participation growth, recruiting, up to elite player development. And we've got tons of value add solutions, not all that are utilized by the state association, but just want to say that if you have any additional needs for your organization, please reach out to your solutions consultant. We'd be happy to understand how we can better serve you in the technology space. So with that being said, we're going to make it short and sweet. We hope that was really advantageous for you guys to see a specific setup, get feedback from Ryan and Nick, who specifically work on, your accounts, and Jess. So with that, if you want to reach out or get more information or set up a demo or reach out to a solutions consultant, we do have what we call a landing page for New Jersey Youth Soccer. So sportsconnect.com/NJYS. And then again, those will come through a priority queue. We'll know to reach out to you. And we do appreciate you attending tonight. So that's all I've got, Ryan.
Great. Thank you, Georgie. Thank you, Seth. And thank you, Nick. Anything else that the panel that you guys want to add?
No, I was just going to ask you, I have the chat here. I don't see any questions in there. Just wanted to make sure I wasn't missing anything like with my access, or if you're seeing the same thing, Ryan.
Yeah, I believe we're good. We'll stick around here for another minute in case there are questions, but otherwise wanted to say thank you in advance for all the work that you're doing as a club administrator. And thank you for taking the time this evening to check in with us and make sure that we have the best practices down heading into 25-26. There are some exciting enhancements to the product that I believe were shared last week in an email, or was shared in an email last week. Some exciting enhancements about the roster building and some other components. So we really look forward to seeing the solution continue to evolve and support your needs as a club. If there's nothing else, have a great night.
Thanks, Ryan.